All right, so in this section, I am gonna be showing you exactly how to create a French tip just using acrylic powder. Okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start building my smile line. So I'm gonna first start building like an almond shaped smile line here. Okay, because whenever you're doing a French tip with acrylic, it does require a few different steps. It's not just you can do it all at once. So what I'm gonna first start doing is I'm gonna start first forming my smile line. And I'm gonna start off with just adding acrylic and creating more of like an almond shape bead here in the middle. And you want to be mindful that you do want to leave an open space on the sides of the nail here, because when we go in to actually form the white French tip, we're going to squeeze in the white on the side. And then that's how you're going to create more of like your smile line. Okay. I am going to bring it up a little bit higher. So maybe right about there. And this is how it's starting to form. You do want to go ahead and make it thicker. You want to make this area thicker. That way you're able to go in, and once this area here hardens, so once we create the nice almond shape here in the middle or the smile line, we're gonna go in and we're gonna file this and we're gonna shape it to a really nice shape. That way when we fill in the tip with the white, it gives you the perfect smile line. So that's why you do want it to be a little bit thicker. I'm just gonna fix the tip a little bit because I do want to make the tip a little bit thicker so that it can match the body of the smile line. This is how it looks. Okay, one thing that you always want to remember whenever you're creating that almond shape here in the middle area is to always leave space on the side, because that's where we're gonna go in and apply the white to create the French tip. Okay, now you want to wait until this dries, and in the next section I'm going to show you how to go in and shape it so that you get a beautiful smile line. Perfect. So now once this almond shape has dried, it should look something like this. Okay, you always want to make sure that the top is nice and even and that your cuticle area is sealed. And this is how it's looking so far. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in and start filing and shaping out the smile line. So I'm gonna grab, and I'm gonna be using my 80/80 file, and I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna start shaping the almond shape so that we get a really nice smile line. So this part is crucial because the way that you file the nail, that's the way that your smile line is gonna appear. So you wanna make sure that you are filing really, really good. So I'm gonna get these edges nice and crisp. And then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna file the middle section. File the top of it because I want to make sure that it is nice and even from the top as well. And the trick whenever you're doing French tips with acrylic is that you want to make sure that you keep the dimension, the thickness of the almond shape in the middle. These edges here, you want them to be nice and crisp all the way around because that's how you're gonna get a nicer smile line. All right, perfect. So this is how it looks once you have completely finished shaping and filing. You want to make sure that your almond shape is nice and crisp. It's super important to make sure that all of the edges around the almond shape are nice and crisp. Okay, because this is what's gonna go ahead and turn out to be your smile line. So you want to make sure everything looks nice and sharp. Okay, once we have finished filing, then we're gonna go in and we are going to apply our white into the nail. And this applies to any color. If you're doing any different colored French tips, then you would just change it. Here, we're just gonna do the traditional pink and white. So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna start grabbing my white and I'm just gonna start applying it on the nail. So we're pretty much gonna fill in the nail according to everything that needs to be filled in. This part does tend to get a little messy, and French tips, it is a process. So just make sure you let your clients know that this is a process because it can start to look a little crazy. And you guys are gonna see what I'm talking about in just a second. So you're just gonna go in and you're gonna start filling in the sides with your white. Make sure that when you are filling in the white, that you have to fill it in as thick as you made the almond shape. It all has to be nice and flushed. So I'm gonna continue just filling in the nail.
This is how it's looking so far, and we're just going to continue to fill in.
And this is how it's looking so far. I know this doesn't look anything like an acrylic French tip, but I promise you it is a work in progress. So we're gonna let this dry. Once this dries, then we're gonna go in with our drill and we're gonna start filing the top of the nail, and it's all gonna start tying in together. Okay, so in the next section, I'm gonna go ahead and show you exactly how to file. That way we can start seeing the smile line. All right, so the time we've all been waiting for. How is this gonna turn out? So once the acrylic has dried, then I'm gonna go in using my sanding band and I'm gonna start sanding off the top of the nail to start revealing the smile line. Okay, whenever you're using your sanding band and you're filing, you do not need to use a sanding band that's really coarse. Okay, so here I'm using a 150 grit. Because if you use a sanding band that's really coarse and really sharp, when you go in to file, you can start like denting and filing off your acrylic, over filing your acrylic, and you don't want that. So make sure that you're using a sanding band that doesn't have a lot of grit. You can either use a 150 or you can use a 180. So let's go ahead and start revealing the French tip. So this is how it's starting to look. So this is how it's starting to look once I've gone in and filed. Okay, so I'm gonna file a little bit more and then I'm gonna get ready to buff and add my top coat. And this is how it's coming along. You have those crisp smile lines. You got that deep French tip going on. And we're just gonna file a little bit more just to straighten this out, and then we're gonna buff and add our top coat. So now we're gonna go in and buff our nails so that way we can add our top coat afterwards. And we can see how it all looks once we are all done. Look at that. That's the perfect smile line, the perfect French. And this is not even with top coat yet. So I'm gonna clean this with alcohol, and then once I clean it with alcohol, I am gonna go in and add my top coat. Now let's go ahead and add top coat.